Hey, guys. Oh, fuck. What episode are we on, Zaka? This is going on live, by the way. I don't care. This is how we're starting.
No, I don't keep count.
You should keep count.
13.
Oh, shut up. I'll introduce you in a second. We're live. Damn it. We're starting there. We're starting there. I don't give a fuck. Because this is an actual special episode. Because this is going to be probably my favorite one. Because it's my favorite topic. We're talking about edgelords, Zaka. Edgelords. You love edgelords.
Marquis.
Everyone. Marquis? Who?
Okay, this is actually a funny history thing. A marquis is really a lord of land that is on the border. So thus, an edgelord.
Zaka, your new job is to have an esoteric fact at the beginning of every podcast.
Oh my god.
No, you did it. You did it. You don't. It doesn't have to be numbered like the Super Best Friends podcast, but you have to have an esoteric fact. All right, everyone, welcome to episode, I think it's 14 or 15. I don't really know, and I don't really care, of the RPCast, otherwise known as the Ron Zone podcast. Shut up, Kale. I'll get to you in a second. Today's, speaking of Kale, actually, he can talk because this episode is made entirely around him, and then Rory's here for moral support or fucking something. I don't care. I didn't invite him. It's edgelords. We're talking about edgelords, and I'm excited because they're terrible. Everyone knows they're terrible. We're going to talk about how terrible they are, or how terrible they are. It depends on your opinion on that. Mine is pretty obvious. Kale, say hi and introduce yourself.
The Edge is calling tonight. I don't know. Hi, I'm
I would have been happy with that.
Character named Kale. You probably have seen me around in, say, Salma District, Divinity's Reach in general, etc., etc.
Mostly Salma. You've probably seen
Mostly Salma.
You've probably seen him mistelling Erp in Say Chat.
Do it one time, and suddenly the pants continue to.
The pants continue to continue. They'll never stop.
And the Edge don't stop coming.
Yeah, it keeps on coming and it don't stop coming. All right. Rory, introduce yourself and how you're applicable to this topic, because I don't know you.
I'm Rui Taiyang. I've been around for a long time. I was in Eagle Company. I was in Housekin, and now I'm the Inquisitor for the White Mantle Guild Silver Arches. And I am an Omega Edgelord, as I will reveal to y'all later with my original background.
Zaka, I think I heard you let out a sigh when he said the name of his guild. You care to elaborate?
No, I'm not.
You're gonna have to. I'm gonna make you do it.
No, you can't make me.
Are there tentacles involved?
No.
Is there tentacles involved, Rory? That's what I need to know.
No, but there's drama, edge, and a bunch of shitting bad luck.
How many vampires do you guys have?
In White Mantle or Housekin? Because that's the one she's groaning at.
The fact that you didn't just say none and you had to ask which one I'm talking about gets me. We're moving on.
Christ.
Zaka, my waifu,
No.
ask the first question.
Define, what is an edgelord? Why is it laughable? Can an edgelord actually be a good character?
I'm gonna throw this one at Kale because he muted himself and it upset me.
My button is pushed. You've activated my trigger card. An edgelord, or at least generally what the definition I've been able to gather is generally it's a character that is angsty, edgy, overall antisocial, violent, darker, but they're poorly done, and as a result they get that as a derogatory term. And they're laughable simply because usually the best way to put it is they're like something from the imagination of a 12-year-old angsty kid. And so
like you.
The question is... Absolutely. However, the question is, can an edgelord actually be a good character? And yes, I'd like to preface it by saying that there's two things in this world. Characters that are edgelords and characters that are darkly written. Darkly written characters are generally, quote-unquote, edgy characters that are well written in the sense that their motivations make sense. They have a goal. They have reasons for being the way they are without just having it being because it's edgy and cool. And their story naturally progresses to turn them into that. Usually, I would suggest if you want to play an edgy character, don't start them out as an edgy character, or at least not full-on edge, and let them naturally progress to that, because when they do, it's believable and it's well-written and decent character,
Kale,
and people take it seriously.
Kale, if you put half as much effort into a fucking job interview as you did to getting ready for this podcast, I wouldn't be paying your fucking welfare every week.
God damn it.
Fucking Christ.
I think that leads to the next question is, what does edge mean?
Well, we'll get to don't fucking read my questions, schmutzo. I'll do what
They
the fuck
weren't.
I
That
want.
wasn't that question.
I don't care. It is now, and you can go. Feel free to jump in whenever you want, Rory. Kale's gonna keep talking. Kale, don't forget what else you're gonna say. I just want to make sure it's not one-sided. I have to moderate, and Zaka's just here to look pretty.
Never forget Mom Spaghetti.
Never forgetty. Rory, do you want to add anything to that?
That's a fact I won't dispute. I'm just here to be pretty.
She's here for the weeboo demographic.
No, I think that works. That's a pretty good.
I hope this is the theme of the whole episode. Is Kale answers everything and Rory just says nothing.
But I did look it up on Urban Dictionary just to get a refresher, and it immediately calls reference to Fight Club and Tyler Durden's speech in it.
Does it? Wait, what are we talking about?
Tyler Durden's special snowflake speech from the film Fight Club being probably the main two examples.
That's a good speech. So hold on, we're talking about edgelords because Kale, you brought up a point that I think was really good about how everyone does it, so it's considered poorly done. Like, can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
Generally, I've been role playing since I was 12. I used to be
for like 3 months.
Oh yeah, totally. I used to be an edgelord, like the full-on definition of an edgelord, and the mindset I had at the time that made it so bad was that I do anything not because it makes sense, but because my character seems cooler that way. They seem more edgy that way, and as a result, you get into this mindset where the cooler and the edgier, the better, which then starts up the whole, like, hey, he's starting to god mod sign of thing. It's a downward spiral. Whereas characters that are well written have things that make sense. Like, sure, they may be antisocial, but they'll still talk to people because it makes sense. They're not just going to completely blow off everybody. And as a result, you can tell right then and there the telltale signs of a quote-unquote edgelord and a darker written character.
I think an edgelord comes into being whenever someone takes a little too much of the wish fulfillment that we all at some point pursue and meets that with personal fantasies. Like, for example, say your character, you know what? Screw it. Bah!
Stop clicking on shit, you asshole.
No.
All right. Fuck you then. I'm just going to talk over you. For me, it's always been like, I'll think of it this way. The reason why it seems so bad and like it has such a stigma to it is the same reason why people think all glam metal is garbage and is like generic bullshit. It's because there's so much of it. There's so much bad that it drowns out the good.
Absolutely.
It's like grunge music. It's like death metal. It's like, though somebody hits like a trope or a cliche that's really good and they do it really well and everybody copies that, and you can only copy something as many times until it gets generic and bland and poor.
Yeah, like you can meet genuinely good angsty characters that are like, it makes sense why they're angsty. They're enjoyable to role play with because their story is coherent, well put together, and it all makes sense. But then you meet the kid who looks like he shops in Hot Topic, who's just like, ugh, the darkness is my ally.
Blood White Fang comes to mind. Oh, but
What you mean earlier?
do you want to actually finish your thought without making clicking noises in the goddamn background, Rory?
No, I don't.
Where the fuck did we find this asshole? God damn it!
I think Lana picked him up off the street.
Lana's not picking up any more fucking guests. Fucking done. Just lets in any fucking riffraff off the goddamn street.
You're goddamn right.
Got to build a wall around this podcast. Okay. I think we got enough of that. This is let me see. Here, this is actually a pretty good question, Kale. Why so many belts?
Why so many belts?
Why so many belts, and how many belts is too much?
All right. Do you want Do you want the genuine answer or the answer I'm probably going to give you?
Try to meet me in the middle.
All right. Well, why so many belts? People associate belts with being cool. Like, look at fucking Cloud Strife or, like, literally any quote-unquote grimdark character. All of them, for some reason, have a ton of belts, and it just seems cool. I don't know why.
Fucking awesome, doesn't it?
I don't know why. It's just belts. As to that, how many belts are too many? Honestly, I'd say if we're being completely honest here, I'd say after like 4 is pushing it. I think 4 is even kind of pushing it. But in my personal aesthetic, if you have more than like 9, then you're a terrible person. But 9 is like.
But like, is it any more than 9? But you secretly like, but that 10th one really pulled that fucking chess piece together,
Right?
Yeah, like really holds the whole outfit together. Is that 10th belt?
I have an aesthetic towards belts. So
I say if you're going to go over 5 belts, you've just got to take it all the way and just make your entire character belt.
Like Lulu.
Just belts from head to toe.
And look at Lulu. Lulu is the best character in Final Fantasy X because of the belts. Nothing else. There's nothing else in particular that makes her my favorite character. It's the belts. And you can't prove it. Moving on. Let's read this. So, Kale, I'm going to ask you all the questions first because I built this around you and you don't have clicking noises in the background because you're considerate. Edgelord character designs tend to revolve around red or black or being very broody. What exactly is the line in design decisions by making an Edgelord. Like what is the specific aesthetic you have to have?
Generally, darker color scheme. That's one thing. You don't want bright, happy colors. That does not make sense. Darker colors that are generally more washed out can work for a general aesthetic, but you notice like blacks, reds, maybe really dark blues, and like a mixture, stuff like that. They give off that sort of edgy design that you like because it's popular in media. That's what most people associate. Because red and black are generally associated with things like, darkness, bloods, etc., etc.
You say Dark Nest?
No, darkness. Like Dank Nest, though. No,
Dank
that should be an
Nest
RPC cast. That should be an RP cast.
We should do a Dank Nest thing.
But yeah, so like in terms of design choices that make an edgelord, you generally want to go for darker colors. Some people are a big fan of spikes. Some people like belts. Some people like, skulls, stuff like that. Like if you're going for a genuine, like actual edgelord, that's the shit you should go for. I think good edgelords simply just go with the darker color palette and don't get too excessive with it, because excessive is impractical, and like a genuinely well-written quote-unquote edgelord character thinks that shit's fucking stupid. Why the fuck would you wear shit that weighs you down? That's stupid.
But if he's a true edgelord, he's going to be so strong that it doesn't matter.
Exactly. Edgelords and darker characters. That's the difference.
Ooh. I'm trying, like, as you're saying that, I'm trying to sit here and think of an edge character who isn't like all black and dark colors, and I really can't think of one.
They don't exist.
I was gonna say Zex Marquise, and then I'm like, no, but Epion is literally red and black are the only 2 colors on Epion, minus the green for the fucking sword. I'm like, oh.
Well, also another part of the aesthetic is heavy armor that they can move quickly in, quote unquote.
Well, that doesn't have to be the aesthetic.
That doesn't happen often, actually.
Leather.
I found it happens
it's
a lot
leather.
in this game.
In this game, yeah. In most games, it's usually leather.
Let's talk about some of the best edgelords of all time. Vincent Valentine, Final Fantasy VII.
God bless him.
Leather, my favorite character in fiction. Like he's up there. I love him. I actually have an action figure. I'm sitting.
I love Vincent Valentine to death, but he is kind of an edgelord. Like not even like a darker written character. There are some edgelord in there.
No, there's
some edgelord.
There's tons of edgelord in there. We're talking him. Who the fuck is the guy from Star Ocean? Was it Thanatos? Who's legitimately just a tall, skinny elf guy with wearing barely any red or black and a big laser scythe. He's the best.
Oh, yeah, him. I mean, I think Thanatos kind of makes sense because he has a dumb, big laser scythe. And scythes aren't necessarily practical weapons, but that design of a scythe actually is a practical weapon. and he's a mobile character, so having lighter armor that's kind of exposed is good because it doesn't weigh him down as much.
Yeah,
which is interesting because he wears dark purple. That's not very common in edgelords.
And then there's like the original edgelords, which are like ninjas. They have they don't. I mean, even though that's not what they actually wore, but
yeah.
Oh, here's one. This is a good one. Kel, what kind of music do edgelords prefer? Do they look like Linkin Park or Evanescence?
Early 2000s.
Early 2000s?
Early 2000s, late 90s.
Can you elaborate on that? And then
my God, here we go.
Soundgarden.
Disturbed, fucking Linkin Park if you want to go like Premier Angst, maybe some Christian rock if you're feeling it. Some of their songs get really angsty. Late 90s in terms of like what's an example? Like I'm a big fan of System of a Down, for example, and
Drowning Pool, definitely.
Drowning Pool for sure.
Gotta have the bodies hit the floor.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. Saliva. Some early Saliva.
Final Fantasy XIV's premiere track is Sephiroth Phase 2, The Fiend. Oh my God. You can fight me on that. The Edge is calling tonight.
Okay, I'm sorry, but
make that the name of this fucking podcast is The Edge is calling tonight. That's it right there. Name found.
For our lovely audience, I'm going to slam down a Linkerino. You can fight me on this.
I had something on the tip of my tongue that was actually fairly recently, but I can't remember it. Oh, did we name Breaking Benjamin? Because that's the gotta have.
Oh yeah, that's
Benjamin. Oh my God, they're so good.
Oh yeah, Evanescence. That's another one.
Oh,
Thank you, Liana.
Seether most definitely.
We already named Evanescence.
I like.
Screamo, Bullet for My Valentine. Duh.
That one's a bit more dependent. I'm not a fan, but most edgelords are.
Like that comes into like shitty edgelord territory. Like when you get into like the remake of Devil May, you get to like Devil May Cry remake, where it's just like, okay, this is too much.
Well, Leanna said something and she's banned for it. Blackfield Brides, get the hell out of here. There's levels of edge we don't reach, and you've reached it.
Sokka, say something. I haven't heard you talk.
I don't want to talk.
Everyone's just slightly uncomfortable because you know what? Fuck it. I'm just gonna go out and say it. Everyone in this podcast right now and everyone listening is going like, yeah, that's pretty cool, but no one wants to say it. Nobody wants to fucking admit it. And if you say that you don't, it's because you're a lying sack of shit. And I can prove it, but I'm not going to because I probably can't.
I'm gonna go out and say I'm still an edgelord. Fuck it.
There's no shame in it. There's no shame in role playing any trope that has a stigma behind it, as long as you do it well. Like that is if anybody takes anything away from this podcast, let it be that.
I think that leads really well into the next question.
Oh yeah, My Chemical Romance. All right.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Are we allowed to say what is it? Death Clap for Cutie or Panic at the Disco? Do they count?
Panic at the Disco does sometimes count. Yes.
I hate them
both. Hey, you know what?
Hey, Death of a Bachelor.
Just if you're on Incubus, if you're on the Pacific Coast edgelord.
But only if you're on the Pacific Coast, huh?
Yeah, there's so many shades of edgelord. But I think this all leads really well into the next question. Should edgelords
hold on.
genuinely be avoided?
Shut up. Fuck you.
What?
You're never coming back. You're never coming back. I'm even going to try to get you banned from the fucking channel. Don't ever speak to me again. Except speak to me again. I'm going to need you to. But after the podcast, never fucking speak to me again. All right. That actually really leads well into the next question, though, which is, should edgelords generally be avoided? Rory, I want to hear your opinion on that.
I take a stance that any trope that has a stigma behind it, when this question is asked, the answer is emphatically no. Role players are already chastised and made fun of enough that we don't need to be segregating ourselves based on who we are. We need to be a little accepting of anyone because we've all been at that point at some point in our career as role players. Your peers, edgelords, Mary Sue's, whatever you want to say, special snowflakes, we've all been there. We need to be a little more accepting of it. And elitism is for shitheads.
I agree completely. Now, if you're like a 7-year vet and you're still doing it poorly, then you should be ashamed of yourself. But if
Yeah.
you're starting out and you do it, like, that's fine. Everyone's done it at least once. Kale's still doing it. He just refuses to admit it. And you're openly admitting it, which is fine. Zaka does it too. She doesn't like to tell anybody, though.
Not that bad.
I'm just kidding. Kidding, darling. We're getting married.
No.
Kale, I know you have a 10-minute response to this, so give me the abridged version.
Whoop whoop. Under specific circumstances, yes. Primarily, if they've been role playing for a while and they're still doing that shit, then yes, I would say to avoid them. But if they seem like they're just starting out and they seem kind of new, I actually like to go out of my way to kind of help them figure out how to properly do a quote unquote edgy character.
So TLDR, case by case basis.
More or less, yes.
I'm
Because there's some
gonna
edgelords who'll just like try and kill you in a bar, and those people are people that probably should be avoided. Like
Yeah.
without provocation. Those exist. I've seen it multiple
Oh
times.
yes. I had to deal with that my first day back in Falcon Company.
Isn't that fun?
It's the best, isn't it? It's
That reminds me of a story.
go on. I would love to hear it.
My first day back in Falcon Company, I came back to the game in February, by the way. And if y'all all remember, when I came back, I made a whole hebaloo of, oh, boo-hoo, I was made fun of because I was in house kid. Well, my first day back in the Seraph, a char came to me and told me that he was planning to kill someone. He has the Goku hair, dyed purple, wears black armor, has white fur, red eyes, and he just goes on and on about how he was picked on, how he was beat up, and the Seraph beat him up and shot him and all that, and he was going to go kill the person responsible. And it just made me want to kill myself sitting there listening to all this.
If only you had, we might have had a more polite guest.
Yeah.
Moving on. Moving on. That story is the exact actual issue with it. Is people doing stuff like that. That is what gives them a bad name, and that's you see plenty of it. I mean, I always like to point out that I don't spend much time around the bars and stuff in Divinity, so I don't see a whole lot of the community that much anymore. But I've seen plenty of that back when I did. A lot of them hanging around at the Flagon. But, it's people who walk, like, to me, it's always the mindset of people who go, my character's badass, and they try to emulate how badass their character is through their emotes. Sometimes I've mentioned it before, people even write the word badass in their emotes, which is just fucking ugh. But for people trying to be that good and force their character to be that good, forcing your character to be anything makes the quality go down exponentially, in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
100% goes down. So when people do it that way, the best way to do it is just do your character organically, and if it comes out like an edgelord, it comes out like an edgelord, but chances are it's going to be way better than if you had tried to force it. So, do you have anything to add?
Not really, but I do know one telltale sign of an edgelord.
Go on.
They always lean against the wall and wait for somebody else to come to them.
Who the fuck does that sound like? Oh wait, it's Kale. It sounds like
Huh?
Kale.
No. I have Kale go up to women all the time and hit on them. It's great.
No, I know you're lying.
That's
Cross
edgelord too.
/ cross arms.
/
Your-
cross arms.
Dude, and the Elder Scrolls actually had / lead.
I know, and I hate
And it
them
was
for it
so-
because I want it in this
So
game.
good. It was so, and then there was there's all the different stances in Final Fantasy, and then there's really not much in the Old Republic, but you can at least there's sittable chairs.
Sephiroth is my waifu.
Zak is my waifu.
No.
Oh boy. So, Kale, I'm gonna kind of abridge this next question. I'm also gonna throw it at Rory to be fair, despite my justified yet somewhat harsh words to him, but mostly justified. What does having an edgelord in roleplay detract from it? Does it make the roleplay worse?
No.
It depends on the quality of the edgelord. The quality of their edge is entirely dependent on their quality. It is entirely the sign of the quality of their RP. Like we've said so far, if you know this edgelord is decent, then yeah, RP can be great with them. But if it's edgelord XX69, Bloodstorm XX69,
You've got
Sephiroth.
Shadow in there.
XXX Sephiroth,
Oh, yeah.
XXX69.
yeah, you're probably not going to have a good time.
No. Also, like, just the idea. I think it might matter on what kind of like role play it is. Like, if you're just like hanging out, or if like you're hanging out at the bar and then there's like everyone's having a good time, and then just for the aesthetic, you see the edgy guy in the corner brooding, like, oh, that's cool, he's the guy in the corner. But like if you're doing like a grocery shopping role play and like, it's like, oh, what kind of knife should I buy to cut my groceries? Go, oh, the kind that could kill a man the fastest. Like, no, that kind of brings it down a little bit, if you ask me.
I don't
Have you
know.
ever seen a guy in a skull mask just going through a grocery store, getting his like daily things? Like, yeah, I'm gonna get some gonna get some stuff, make some quiche. And he's just got a fucking skull mask on at a grocery store, like a Walmart.
Sounds just like my Japanese animes.
Or better yet,
Christ.
he's wearing the green apron and he's just walking around the store putting stuff on shelves.
Oh, it's all good. It's all good.
My name is Blood White Fang. How can I help you
Do
today?
you want to add anything, Kel? I know you stuff to throw in. I know you want to talk. I brought you on here. I made this for you. This is my gift to you, my gift to the
All
world.
right. You said that they detract from people's RP?
Yes.
Yes, if they're badly, like poorly written. If
Can you give me an example of each?
well, a poorly written edgelord is somebody who will just straight up make the conversation all about their angsty backstory without provocation. I've seen it multiple times. I know you have.
I've watched you do it.
Yes. Yeah, that is something that can probably detract because it has absolutely no purpose whatsoever to the conversation. It's like, man, why are you doing that? That shit doesn't matter. But then if you have people who are like, say for example, think of an example here. I hate to have to use WoW, but with the demon hunters that are coming out, say for example, they ever go into a bar during the invasion of the Burning Legion or something like that, and they see some people just chilling around, hitting on chicks in full battle plate, they're going to be like, what the fuck are you doing? Why aren't you on the battlefront killing Legion? What are you doing, pal?
Okay, so I think
Like that, because that makes an interesting conversation. That's
Yeah.
that's what I meant to segue into. Because then it's like, man, it's like, well, I don't want to be there because of that. And it's like, the impending doom is right there, and you're sitting on your ass doing nothing. What is wrong with you?
Like I lived.
No, not demon hunters, not death knights.
So would you say that Death Knight is basically the equivalent of Revenant in this, in terms of probably the amount of edgelords you got people going around as?
Oh yeah.
Because I specifically, especially because of roleplay circumstances, because I think like for like months, our characters, Kale, you can tell me if this is true or not. I don't really remember. Our characters during that whole arc, once HOT hit, we were out in the jungle for a long time before our characters managed to get back to civilization. And I wasn't there for most of the roleplay when Revenant first came out. Rory, was it bad?
I wasn't here either, but I can say that of what I've heard, I've found the best Revenant role player I'll ever find, and my character is dating that one. So there.
Now, best isn't good, or best isn't bad. Because if you
Best-
say like it was a good
a good role player,
oh,
a
damn it.
well-written
What-
one.
What? I would have been much more impressed if it was a bad one and your character's dating him to keep it contained and you're just throwing yourself on the sword for the good of the community. I'm going to continue to think that. That's my headcanon. You can't convince me otherwise.
Fuck that. I ain't that selfless.
You should be. I know I am. Not very much, but you should be.
I'm white metal for a reason, man. Fuck you.
Oh, God. Anyway, we're going to move on. Listen. Yes or no? No, didn't think so. Kale, I'm going to start with you on this one. Outside of just role-playing better, what would you do to help remove the stigma of edgelords in the community and make them better and, more appreciated?
Well, the stigma, to help it all you really have to do is just improve the quality of quote-unquote edgelord role players. Like, that's literally all you can do, because, like, the stigma is risen up from the fact that most of them suck. And because of that, that stigma's not going to go away until they start getting better. Oh, wow, voice broke for a second there. Until they start getting better. But the problem is, like, primarily, even if you start fixing it and there's more good than bad, the stigma is never going to go away. It's always going to be there. There's not really a lot you can do to get rid of the stigma. You can just alleviate, you can do damage control, but you can't fix it.
Yeah, I mean, I was just going to say gather up all the edgelords and then kill all of the bad ones. And then, you know, let all the good ones go. I don't know how we're going to do that. I know how we're going to do it. We're going to have a bowl of juice and a bowl of blood. And all the edgelords will drink out of the blood, poison it, and all the bad ones will drink the blood because they want to be edgy. And then they'll all die. Zach, do you have anything to add? Or Rory, do you have anything to add? Anyone over you?
I was going to say, until they all make up the power that they're immune to poison.
Oh, no, that would make me upset. I don't. Now I'm upset. Can we end the podcast there? I don't want to do it anymore.
Flashy dodges.
Slashy dodges is a powerful maneuver, though.
I do have something to add. How to improve the edgelord? Get rid of the edgelord. That's about it. I mean,
You're saying get rid of it entirely.
Yeah, I mean,
including yourself, admitted edgelord.
Yes, including myself. The way to get rid of the
and I
fix
thought
the
you
problem
said
is
you
to get
weren't
rid of it.
selfless. I thought you said you weren't selfless.
Either it's re-education or well, it's entirely re-education because I'm against banishing people from the role-playing community. But that's the reality of the situation. You just have to teach them to do better.
That actually, and I'm going to be the one to say it this time, does segue very well into the next question, which is, you know, at least part of the next question, is if you see an edgelord and they're bad, and by happenstance you start talking to them OOC, express their desire to be better, what would you tell them, and how would you go about telling them without being a cunt? Because it always comes back to this: don't be a cunt.
Well, I've never been very good at it, but I have a friend who is amazing
at not being a cunt.
Not being a cunt, because I'm
Shocking.
typing right now.
Shocking. Go on.
And usually her advice is to be open, wait for them to have trouble, and then offer friendly advice. And when they see the improvement, they'll come back to you looking to get better, or they'll ignore you and they're unsalvageable until they have such a horrible fuck up that they want to get out of it. It's the same way you re-educate ERPers, Mary Sue's, special snowflakes.
I think, and
you just have to be open.
I think it should be almost a baptism of fire. And this is probably going to be a unpopular opinion, like most of my opinions.
ERP is eternal.
What he said. No, what I mean is, basically, if you point out how much of the community thinks they're a joke, and how bad the community might think that particular person in their roleplay is, and what in particular they think is bad, it will do one of two things. It'll either make them double down and want to learn to get better in that capacity, or it'll make them just not roleplay roleplay with the group. I'm sure there's other options, but I feel like those two are the two big ones. Because I would either be one. I would either be like, okay, well, now I want to learn so people take me seriously, or it'll be fuck these people, I'm not role playing with them. Either way, the problem has been fixed.
Well, the issue is that edgelords come about entirely because of ego. They are fueled by it.
I agree. Like I said, everybody wanting to be the top tomato, the badass.
So they won't be open to taking advice unless they are so destitute and they see someone else who's doing really well. It comes from a point of desperation and wanting to improve. But most edgelords think they're perfect and that everyone else is the problem. And that's mainly the problem with bad edgelords. They don't want to change. They just want to be more badass. And they think that getting more and more badass just makes them more and more palatable, which is not at all the case.
No, I'm more badass. No, I'm more badass.
Do you think that all the bad edgelords hang around the bad Earpers go for the bad edgelords, and the bad edgelords want bad Earp because they don't know better?
Yes.
What do you think, Kale? I know you're both of those.
Jesus Christ. I actually have no idea.
All right, what do you want to answer the question though? How would you go about, fixing that?
I did. Improving the quality of edgelord like our peers. That's actually the only thing I think you can.
But how would you go about telling them how to improve?
Well, generally, if they're being angsty for the sake of angsty, I'm going to tell them to stop doing that and instead try to work on a backstory that makes sense, that isn't Mary Sue like fucking sparkly, look at me, I'm important as fuck, but instead it's just depressing. And then you work from that.
I gotcha. Zach, what do you think?
Realistic.
I'm getting an answer out of you now.
Oh, great.
Please answer. Please answer the goddamn question.
I feel Kale did summarizes the best, because I'll admit there was a time where I tried to help a super edgy Mary Sue try and get better through force, and it didn't work. I'm just gonna say that right now. It did not work and will never work. You have to have it so that they come to you instead of you force your opinion on them.
I think that works with just about anything. I feel like edgelords more in particular, because it's such a passionate feeling where they think they're this cool, and then it comes crashing down and you go, no, everyone thinks you're fucking lame and everybody wants you to stop. And like there are people who will double down and they're be more like assholes. There's one person I can think of in particular who's like that. I'm not going to say his name, but he does share a name with somebody who is in Destiny's Edge. And everyone probably knows this guy, but I'm not going to say his name. That said, it is a delicate thing. You can't, and like with anything, with anybody about any kind of roleplay, you have to be delicate when you get better. And sometimes you might just have to abandon hope. Some people just inherently suck. They do. Kale's one of them. That's why I brought him here. So is Rory, because he keeps typing and being inconsiderate. They both inherently suck. Suck is cool. That's why we're getting married.
Suck dick for Jesus.
Fuck off. All right. This question. I don't know who wrote this one, but Kale, you're gonna lead on this one. How much of an edgelord is Ronzo? I want the most detailed response.
Appearance-wise, he's actually relatively edgy, just from raw appearance. But then you actually get to find out what his personality is like after one conversation, and his personality is so far from edge that it's actually kind of upsetting. He looks edgy, but he's not.
Upsetting? Why is it upsetting? Is it like, oh boy, it's time for an edgelord, and then it's not there?
Yeah, exactly.
We're gonna stick on this topic.
You go in expecting like Captain McEdgelord, like some shit straight out of Castlevania, and then you get fucking Joseph Joestar.
That's the best description of my character anyone could ever say. Let's end it there. Except not, Zaka. You know the character. You well, not really, but go on.
I don't know him well enough to actually get this question, but I have to agree with Kale. Especially since the first time I met Ronzo, I see he was naked.
Oh, yeah, he was. Rory, what do you think?
I have never met you, bro.
Yeah, but if you did, what would you think?
Don't know.
Why don't you know?
Think edgy fucking like Patchy the Pirate exterior, and then you get to meet him, and he's actually Joseph Joestar.
Oh, no. Joestar is.
What?
So I started off meeting Rory thinking he was a sack of shit. And now I think he's 2 sacks of shit in a 1-sack bag. That doesn't make any sense. We're going to roll with it because it's true anyway. You're a bastard and you should get better. I'm kidding. I love you. Next question. Zaka asked the next question. I'm going to go be upset with myself.
What edgelord NPCs exist in Guild Wars 2?
Ritlock. I'm not upset anymore. I answered the question. But go on.
Ritlock, Fowlin,
Who the fuck is Fallon? Which one's Fallon?
Kate's lover.
Oh.
Okay.
Why does that exist? Kale.
Braum.
That Brom's now like the edgiest teen.
Oh yeah. Good for him. Like, who else? Does Mordremoth count? Does Zaitan count? He's a zombie dragon. Dragons are edgy.
Yeah, Zaitan counts. I wouldn't say Mordremoth counts because he's a giant flower.
Yeah, it's a shark
No,
flower.
He looks like a giant dick. Let's be
Does.
real.
So he's an ERPer then. Yeah, because he has binds.
Well, like in terms of not just like let's expand from Guild Wars. I always try to expand out of this fucking game because I hate everyone involved in this game, especially Kale. But
Colin Johansson is my god.
like what like let's talk about edgelords and other like main edgelords who are good and who are bad because I need to drag out for time this week because Kale didn't talk as long as he said he would.
Ooh. Oh, we got a lot more questions. Bad edgelord Kylo Ren, very first one.
Hey.
Okay.
Hey.
Okay, hold on. I will argue that. Because he's a good bad edgelord. He's supposed to be that way. And it's done so well.
No, his motivations make no sense.
That's the point.
That's the point.
That's the point. Actually, I have seen Kylo Ren, and it's just like, wow, you're a sack of shit. Everybody agrees. Wow, he's a sack of shit.
I'm willing to bet that they got the entire character design, purpose, attitude, dialogue, everything from Kylo Ren by just like who the fuck was it? J.J. Abrams just gave a couple money to some of the interns on staff. It's like, okay, go on to get us like a 1 month subscription on an MMO, hang out, go be a wallflower in a tavern in an RP server, and just write down everything you see. Write down the things that make you want to vomit, and that's how we got Kylo Ren.
Kylo Ren is a good bad edgelord. He is a bad edgelord to a T, but that is the point because he's trying. He is actually supposed to be the definition of an angsty teenager. It is the best, worst shit I've ever seen.
It's so good. Even his appearance, it's like, oh my god, it's Revan, and then he takes his mask off and go, oh my god, it's Filthy Frank.
Why is there a woman under that mask? He's supposed to be a man.
What are other good ones? Because
Well-
so that's a good bad one. That's a good bad one. That
A
one.
lot of Al Ra role players in Final Fantasy. A lot of Demon Hunter role players coming.
Oh, can we talk about
Tuesday.
Sigurdu?
Sigurdu?
Yeah. He's the Dark Knight, which is what's
Oh my god!
The
Yeah.
edge is calling tonight.
yeah.
Just calling.
Oh my god. Sidurgu is he's not a good edgelord in my definition, but he's not a bad edgelord either. He's just an edgelord.
He's
not
just there.
He's just there being his wallflowery self.
It's pretty good.
But Kale, the guy from the Crystal Tower quest line.
Who Catboy, who's actually the son of like the Emperor or something.
Yeah, Catboy, who's like a descendant of the Emperor, and just like, I have this one eye, only I can do this.
That wasn't necessarily angsty though. His personality wasn't angsty.
I know,
His
but at the
backstory
same
was,
time,
but as a person, he wasn't. He was just kind of a wooby. That's what he really was.
Cloud Strife. We could just go. We could go in Final Fantasy all day.
Vincent Valentine,
Vincent
Cloud
Valentine.
Strife.
Wow.
Lightning is a bad edgelord.
Oh,
God bless her.
You mean
Yeah.
waifu?
Sure.
The worst character.
Squall
He's
was
a bad edgelord.
Squall was a bad edgelord who became a decent character.
I agree with that completely. I fucking love Squall.
Let's see. Who are the new
that's
characters in the new Final Fantasy? Because they're all
Noctis.
edgelords.
Hey, don't you talk shit about my boy Prompto. I'll kill you.
Noctis very much looks like they all look like edgelords. They all look like a boy band.
They
But
all-
Noctis is an edgelord.
They are.
And Noctis is an edgelord, and so is the dude with glasses. I don't remember what his name is. Prompto's nothing like an edgelord whatsoever. He's not even remotely edgy.
Whatever.
So he's a Ronzo, basically.
Blonde kid. Yeah, he's kind of like Ronzo, actually. He's like a young Ronzo. Kind of disturbing. Big guy with the giant sword's actually a pretty cool guy as well.
Well, that's the definition of an edgelord is cool.
Well,
Do they have to have giant? What is the weapon of choice?
He's not-
That's actually a good question. What is
he's
the
not,
weapon of
like-
choice?
Oh,
Big
shut up.
swords, guns,
swords,
explosives.
guns, daggers, scythes.
Scythes.
Oh my god.
whips.
If it's on the
Chain.
table, if it's possible, you get the scythe. Scythe is what makes them
Oh.
edgy.
No, I have it better. The chain scythe.
Ugh.
Jesus.
Ugh.
Time for Jack to let her rip.
Oh my god. Does that count? I don't think that counts.
A katana. Yeah, it
Oh,
would.
Katana. No, I meant the character, but no, Katana is the actual, like, that is the telltale. Like, if you walk in and you see someone in, like, all black and red leather with the katana on their back, no matter what game you're in, you look at them and you turn around and you go, no, I can't even stand next to him. I'll cut myself on all that edge.
Well, in that case, we just look at every Reaper role player in Guild Wars 2 because they're all edge as fuck. Great sword, cloth, black, skull in their face, edge as far as the eye can see.
I'm a member of Soldier. I'm cool.
What other Star Wars edgelords are there?
Half of
Pre
the Darksiders.
Well, like,
Um,
there are some really, like, I can't think of any bad, like, ones.
I've
like
got
any-
one in mind. Pre-Cold War Malgus.
Was he?
Oh yeah.
I don't know that much about Malgus.
Yeah, pre-Cold War Malgus was an angsty ass piece of shit. I'd argue Darth Sion to a point.
Oh no, yeah. Darth Sion all the way. I agree.
Nihilus was
Okay,
like,
so Scion, I'll say, isn't a, like, to what I remember about the game, he's not a bad one. He's not
he's
bad.
not that great.
He's a decent one, but Nihilus, that is
Nihilus is-
cold, refined edgelord.
That is proper edge. That is perfect edge. His whole motivation is to devour all life. He's not supposed to be likable. He's an edgelord done as a villain, and it is decent. I love it. Gary Oak, I don't think Gary Oak is all
Gary
that
Oak's not
edgy.
he's not an edgelord. Gary Oak is a hero.
Oh,
There are
Atten.
there's 8 badges in the Kanto region, and Gary Oak has 10 of them.
Wait, what was that?
Atten Rand.
Oh my god!
Atten from
I
thought he
love
wasn't that.
Atten. His
He wasn't that
backstory.
edgy.
He is
His
a good
backstory was
edgelord.
pretty
He is a
bad.
good edgelord.
He's not that edgy. He's very, like, rogue-esque.
He is a Sith assassin. That is the definition of edge.
Yeah, that roguish personality is if you keep him light side. If he goes dark side, he actually becomes a bad edgelord. If you get him light side, he's a good edgelord.
He's a redeemed edgelord. That's
Perfect.
the best thing about it.
It's so nice. A lot of the dark side companions start to fall into it. Who is a
Who's
edgelords.
the Wookiee? The Wookiee.
oh yeah, Zalbar or whatever.
Oh, yeah, no,
It's
he
not
was a bad
Zalbar.
one. He
Not
was a bad one.
Zalbar, the one from KOTOR 2. The one
Oh,
whose
yeah.
entire
Han
motivation is to
Han
kill.
Hawk.
Yeah. That's
yeah,
Omega
he's
says
a bad
Vegeta.
edgelord.
Vegeta is a good.
Hanhar.
good-
His name was Hanhar. That's
Yeah,
it.
and he's terrible. He was the fucking worst. Vegeta, though. Vegeta is a good bad one.
Yeah. Is he well, he's a good bad one, and then he's a good one.
Shadow the
Because he
Hedgehog.
redeems himself.
Shadow the Hedgehog. There, we've won. I've won. I've finished it.
Shadow
the
the
Hedgehog.
Hedgehog. Shadow does get better though.
Shadow Knuckles. Yeah.
Fuck.
Just dropped it.
All right,
Dropped
it's done. It's
I
done.
know Shadow gets better, but at the same time, if you're running around on like Healy skates with a gun, and it's just like you can't recover from that.
Wait,
And a
No,
motorcycle. Don't forget the motorcycle.
No one
Right, the
won.
motorcycle.
Oh,
And
Liana.
a car.
Liana. He's not. Nathan Prescott's not an edgelord. He's just a douche.
Edgelords need to have a power of some sort. You can't have a real life edgelord. Those people are just called fucking crazy assholes.
Kirito's not even an edgelord.
Stop
He
talking
just
to people in the goddamn chat.
look, man. She keeps saying, "Yo, we should mention Kirito," and it's like, don't
That's
fucking
why.
mention
That's
Kirito.
why
Not an
Liana's in the
edgelord.
chat. That's why Liana's in the chat, not in here. Her opinions are bad. She should feel bad. Nobody wants to fucking hear them.
He's not a character. He's not an edgelord. He's not a character. He's a fucking
Who
plot
is
device.
Kiruto?
The main character of Sword Art Online. He's not even a character.
That
He is
show
a
is
fucking
bad.
plot device that is made simply for the purposes of women flocking to him. He's not a character.
Okay.
Somebody
let's-
has feelings on this.
Tell me more about Levi from Attack on Titan, Kale.
Oh my god, he's an edgelord that I like.
The triggering.
Oh, the reason I'm dragging this out is because there's no more questions. If anyone was wondering.
Oh, there was another question that we didn't answer.
No, that one was about belts. I love, but
No, what's the difference between an edgelord and a Mary Sue?
oh, go on then. Answer that one. I'll let you have that one because I see it.
What differentiates an edgelord from a Mary Sue? And how would you encourage someone with either character to improve their style and writing? I think you asked half this one.
I did. I forgot to ask the rest of it.
Is it possible to be an edgelord without being a cunt? Yes.
Yeah.
These
Bad
girls-
edgelord, no. Good edgelord, yes.
Sometimes they may be kind of cuntish, but they're not being cuntish because they don't like you. They're being cuntish because like they're just naturally kind of cuntish, but it's like you don't have to be. It's just sometimes circumstances may make them a bit cuntish.
And as for the Mary Sue and edgelord, the bad edgelord is part of the Mary Sue, while decently edged characters that are well written are not at all Mary Sue, because that's the core root of this, is that it's a Mary Sue character, and that's why we don't like it. It's not because they're dark and angsty, because we all have shades of dark and angsty. It's because they write their character in such a way that has hallmarks of Mary Sue while
Preach it.
being draped in edge.
Just preach it. That is actually correct. That is the best way to define a good edgelord from a bad edgelord. A good edgelord is just a darker written character that is, justifiable because they're angsty and shit like that, but they're not bad characters. Whereas a bad edgelord that you would usually have seen is actually a fucking Mary Sue more often than not. Easy.
All right. So we're gonna start winding down. I want to hear from everybody. I want to hear about the worst edgelord you've ever seen. Story about the worst edgelord.
Me.
Kale, you start. Yep.
I'm not even joking. Me when I started role playing.
I want an example. Don't be ashamed, brother.
I did an attack when I was like this was back when I was 12, mind you. I did like 12 or 11. I did an attack as a Death Knight that was 23 swings in 1.5 seconds. And that is how I knew I was a shitty role player. And I brooded in a corner, insulted anybody who came my way or looked at me, talked about how my life was suffering. It was actually the worst. If I could have had wings as an option to wear for a cosmetic feature, you better fucking believe I would have. I was terrible.
Do we need to actively shame Kale now?
No, because I think I'm changing
Shame
this
Kale.
topic. I'm changing this topic. I think from. Never mind. I'm not going to because I don't want to tell my bad edgelord stories because I have some. No one knows about them, and that's.
I do. Latra.
You don't know anything about that. You don't know a fucking thing about it.
Yeah, Erping in the tavern, huh?
Okay, so that might have happened, but that doesn't matter. Zaka, I want to hear yours. I know you have one.
This was back when I was role playing in the Ruby fandom. Somebody
Funny
could
how
tell
those two things coincide.
That wasn't that long ago.
Oh, so it was last week, you mean?
he's pretty much just. Well, no, this isn't actually edgy. This is more Batman. Well, yeah, he's trying to be
As
Batman.
if Batman's not edgy.
Fair enough. But it's seriously, secret underground lair, part of a secret second soul, second personality that's dark and evil.
Oh, it's good. Did you kill him?
This was the guy I tried to improve by force, which I'll admit was
didn't go so hot. Yeah, I feel you. So, what was I gonna say? So I'll tell the next one. You can go last because you've upset me.
She's back.
I know she's back. I was trying to cover for the fact that she cut out for a second. But mine, I have to drop the name. I don't think the player's in game anymore, and if they are, I apologize vehemently, but I'm not going to stop. I mentioned this before, and this is the one I'm going to go with. But there was a character who had like a character who wore like a purplish suit, like faded face paint with smiley face marks on either side of their cheeks. And was role-playing that they had this crazy character who had a gun that when he shot it, it said bang out of a little flag instead of shooting a bullet. He didn't try to kill anyone. He just laughed a lot. And his name was Joseph Kerr, for short, Joker. And he was role-playing that he was actually the Joker. And it was bad. It was really bad. I mentioned this. He tried to blow up the sun with bombs, and he did the best thing that I've seen, which is when he walked away, he did slash emote. Joseph Kerr smiles to himself as the bombs he planted in the bottom of the tavern when no one was watching exploded, and the whole place caught on fire, and everyone would be caught in the explosion. And then I sat there smiling to myself as everyone just promptly ignored it, as they should have. And the man should have been removed from the internet, and he would have to be sit in a corner for 6 years and think about what he's done. And I never saw him again. I tried to help. That was a guy I actually tried to help out. I'm like, yeah, I'll try and help you. I try to help find you a guild. And then I started actively avoiding him. The more I realized that no guild would want this man. Oh, so there was also a elf in Lotro who was this crazy, edgy, dark magic using elf. There's no magic in Lotro. If you played Lotro and your character could use magic, you're an asshole and you should kill yourself. But don't do that. But you're still an asshole. But he was the kind of role player who would do the thing where he explained that he was super badass, and he was the one I talked about who would, if you started beating him in a roleplay fight, he would just turn his game off and then come back 2 hours later and say that he disconnected. He would
pull the cord.
That's the best thing, because I know he's like, he was probably about. I actually think it might have been Kale. Actually, now that I think about it, it might have been Kale.
What?
Because it was just around that age range, I think.
I played an elf ranger.
Yeah, so did he.
No, I used a great sword and a bow. I didn't have magic.
Whatever. I'm talking. This guy would get mad where if his character wanted to fight mine, and I was hiding somewhere in the city, and he'd be like, "Okay, tell me where you are." I'd be like, "No, I'm not telling you where I am," and he would get OC'ly mad at me because I wouldn't tell him where to find me, so his character could kill me. He would also do the thing where he stabbed somebody, and then after the roleplay, even if he lost the fight, he would go, "My character smiles to himself because he knows that he actually poisoned the blades before he stabbed the guy." I'm just like, "You're fucking idiot. Stop it. Stop it now and stop it forever." And hopefully he decided to stop role-playing or got hit by a bus. Either of those two would be preferable to him still playing. Rory, you go.
All right, mine, I'm not going to tell it. I'm just going to read an excerpt from it. But if anyone from the audience or the cast wants to read it, I'm about to link it in the voice chat.
Breaking our immersion.
The Taiyang family was headed by 5 sisters: Naomi, Mayuri, Karen, Zhao, and Mia. All 5 sisters joined the Tyrian heroes. When Shiro was defeated, Minlo handed one of his blades to Mayuri to safeguard against any possibility of his spirit returning. That was that was the original ancient backstory for the character that I played today.
Ooh.
This was year 1, or rather,
I knew I didn't
October
like you.
8th, 2012.
Jeez. You haven't come very far, have you?
Oh, I've come pretty far, but not
hot. All right.
I came pretty hard.
We're gonna wrap this up in a minute, but the one thing I wanted to ask, actually, as like a final question, is how common is it to see a Mary Sue that is?
What?
How common is it to see like a Mary Sue? How common is it that a Mary Sue and an edgelord are one and the same? Would you say? Relatively?
If somebody's trying too hard, you're definitely gonna spot them.
Yeah.
When they've sprained a muscle in their brain.
Sure. All right. I think that's more or less it for the questions. I think this has been an interesting one because I don't think any of us has given a fuck, least of all me, because fuck this topic. But
Talking
Kale,
shit.
thank you. Yeah, I'm talking shit.
Bless.
Before I end it, Kale, do you want to plug anything?
Define plug.
Is there anything coming up or any game or on any game or any guild that you would like to draw attention towards?
Next Tuesday, this upcoming Tuesday, be ready if you play World of Warcraft because the fucking roleplay quality is going to drop by at least 40% because of the amount of demon hunters that you are going to see in cities. It is going to be the stupidest shit I've ever seen in my life, and I am so excited.
Oh yeah, if you're an Edge watcher, be in World of Warcraft. You can play
Be
it
in
for free.
World of Warcraft this Tuesday if you want to watch the shit show of the century.
What, Edge watch? What? You said Edge watcher. What is this, like bird watching?
Yes,
Yes,
except for
but of
edgelords.
Edge people.
It's actually a lot more satisfying and depressing at the same time.
It's not a matter of the fact that they're not allowed in cities. The Burning Legion is going to be invading Azeroth, and the Demon Hunters' purpose are going to be fighting Legion, not to be hanging around in cities. And a lot of the Demon Hunters have bad flack because everybody wants to be Illidan. It is going to be the worst Mary Sue roleplay I've probably ever seen in my life since the fucking launch of Death Knights.
Seeing how WoW is already notorious.
Yeah. Like
it'll be like in Heart of Thorns when
Wrath of the
all the packed soldiers were hanging out in the fucking sun.
Wrath of the Lich King was by far and away angsty as shit because of all the Death Knight role players that had spawned, but it was like the high point of WoW roleplay. We're at one of the low points in WoW roleplay in a class that's edgier than the fucking Death Knights are being released. I shit you not when in their lore they eat the heart of a demon that's closest to one that caused them no amount of grief, such as they killed their family, to gain that demon's soul. I'm not making this shit up. I'm not.
You know what? I'm out.
World of Warcraft Tuesday, be there.
Fucking Christ.
Make a fucking trial count if you need to. I don't care. You need to watch this shit show. If you play Horde, go to Silver Moon City. If you play Alliance, go to Stormwind. Watch it. It's going to be the best thing you've ever seen in your life.
All right. Rory, do you want to plug anything before?
I'm going to plug my guild, the White Mantle. The Silver Arch, I should say. We're recruiting. We're looking for more people. We are starting events. We are also part of the Royal Shining Blade. So say hello to Omega. He's down there waving his arms like an idiot.
He is an idiot. It's fine.
We've got an event coming up tomorrow called the White Sabbath. It will be spectacular. If you want to come lampshade, just send a whisper and we will invite you. It will be bloody and it will be amazing.
Can Ronzo come Sealy and just begin his edgelord debut?
Sure.
I'll go on Mesmerzo so he has a big dumb sword. Oh, he'll have Twilight actually. Or is it, which one is it?
The black one?
Yeah, that's Twilight. Yeah, I'm bringing Twilight.
I thought you'd bring the
Coincidentally, somebody please buy me Twilight.
Sure, I'll bring you my copy of Twilight New Dawn.
All right, we're ending on that. We're ending. Christ. Okay. Go to that event. It's tomorrow, you said?
Yes, tomorrow at 4 p.m. Pacific time.
Okay. Well, you would know better than me. All right. I think that's it. Thank you, Kale, for joining us.
Tuesday, World of Warcraft. Be there.
I made this specifically for you. Zaka, thank you for joining me. We're getting married soon.
No.
Oh, Zaka, before we cut it, is there anything you want to say about the hunting lodge?
You still don't fucking own it.
There you go. Rory, thank you for joining us. Join us next week when we replace Zaka with Tyrese Washington. Thank you. See you guys next week.
I look forward to that.
It's going to be a good one.